Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Well, good evening, and thank you for joining us for this Wednesday's edition of the On-Air Daily News Hour. I'm Naima Latif, and we're going to bring you some daily news. We've got one of Chicago's top reporters that keeps us informed, and of course, she's no stranger to the Female Solution. You see her every Friday on the case with Chinta Strausberg. Well, she's always on the case, and she's giving us that insight about those individuals who are powerful in making an impact in our community. Well, today we want to share a story, several stories about someone who is no stranger to the public. He's an activist preacher, and he's setting an example for so many in the clergy who might be a little frightened sometimes of standing up and speaking out and hitting the streets, because we know that houses of worship have some of the greatest gatherings every week of any organization. Father Michael Pfleger has been known as a community activist and organizer, and he is one who is often controversial, but one of his members is also one of Chicago's top news reporters, and in keeping us informed, also provides an insight as to the politics behind so much of what is happening before our eyes. Well, this Friday, Father Michael Pfleger and the Saint in the community of Saint Sabina is hosting a block party. But this is, as always, an opportunity to provide services for the community and to highlight the needs and to bring families together in an atmosphere that is safe. So much of our communities are overrun with unsafeness, activities that are unwholesome. So for this block party, it's a statement that we are going to choose peace and joy and laughter and fun, and we're going to take responsibility for that happening by providing the activities that shape our community and keep our children safe and allow them to be out in the streets in their own neighborhoods without fear. What is it that drives Father Michael Pfleger to go beyond just the walls of the church and prayer and to really bring his ministry out in the streets? Well, let's welcome to our show our dear sister, who is always on the case, Chinta Strausberg. Thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome, Naima. So it's a beautiful night tonight, and there's going to be a great, the first of several um, block parties that Father Mike puts together every year, and they are fabulous because they the children have bouncy houses. There are games. There's face painting. Um, Free food, hot dogs and hamburgers and potato chips and pop and cold water. And it's just, and then live entertainment. And we have our own DJ. And usually the DJ is Sam Williams, and he is the choir director for the Selah Youth Choir. And, you know, he's done a great job with that choir because they have gained national attention, as well as the Peace Troop, and they too have gained national recognition. And I'm very proud of him, and of course, proud of my pastor, Father Michael Pfleger. He's just a great guy. He is the real deal. That's what I tell him all the time, because he is consistent about his love for our community, and he's done that even despite his own family um, members have turned their backs on him because he's head of a Black Catholic church. So he
Mhm.
just said goodbye, you know. But we are his family. That's how I look at it. His biological family turned his back on him, but we are his family, and we're thousands of them. Love him so much, and also in the prisons, because the several prisons tune him in every Sunday,
Wow.
and we all say hello to them. And in Africa, also in Africa, so it's not just a local thing. And when you say bringing the church outside of the the church itself, the edifice, that's where church begins, and that's
Yeah.
what he teaches us. You know, it's not what you do, because you know there are a lot of hypocrites in church. You know, not our church, but but they but
Wait now.
there are some hypocrites. I've interviewed some of them, and I scratch my head, especially those evangelicals, the white Christian evangelicals.
Ooh.
They I I don't know which Bible that they're reading, but they're not reading my Bible
Well, I
unless
know
they have a different Bible.
he's challenged a lot of the racist hypocrites, which is really interesting because him being Caucasian, when he marches arm in arm in these protest marches with people like Reverend Jesse Jackson and you know the activists, Reverend Al Sharpton, and you know all of these activist preachers that are out there. It makes a real big statement when he goes and sees somebody like Minister Louis Farrakhan. And I was on a show earlier today and we were talking about just the image of that, the controversial nature of it, and yet he stands with these people and he's unafraid. So how long have you been a part of the family of Saint Sabina
Since
church?
1981.
Wow.
I saw him. That's when I started at the Chicago Defender, and I saw him on TV. I saw Reverend Jackson on TV, and I love social justice anyway. So I just started covering them, and I haven't stopped. Of course, with Reverend Jackson, he's gone now, but I still cover his sons because they've stepped into his footsteps, and I want to be there to record it. And it's very important to me. But you know, Father Mike is more than a preacher, and more than an activist. He's also a developer. He there, you know, the Walgreens store that 79th and Racine.
Wow.
Well, that used to be a drug house, and he marched on that drug house and got rid of the. The city tore it down, and Walgreens came in, and he also has built a senior housing development right across the street. And then there's the Renaissance Park where the block party is going to be. It's like 1300 West 79th Street. And it is just wonderful that he has done that. And he's always trying to get businesses to come to the Auburn Gresham community. And then when they do, because there are several Arab-owned stores, and he was having a problem with some of them because I went with him when he checked to see if they were selling outdated food. Guess what? They were. And when he took a can and he said, "You see this? This is outdated." He said, "So what?" He said, "What do you mean, so what?" And it was like they were face to face with one of them, and the store owner told him that he should mind his own business. And he said, "This community is my business." And I thought they were going to go to blows at first, but that store closed down. Because he told him, he says, "You're hurting my family," and so he said, "Well, you're hurting my family too," and he didn't know how to deal with that. But
Wow.
he speaks his mind. He's not afraid of anything, and I just love him so much. We all love him so very, very much.
Yes. Well, he has had very loyal followers for so
Yes.
many years. There have been times and unfavorable news stories have come out about him, and you would think that his church would have closed down based on the viciousness of media attacks, and yet still he stands. So I was not aware of a lot of the developmental things he's done in terms of having an economic impact in the community. What are some of the other economic programs that he's been involved in?
Well, we have like 32 ministries. I've proposed another ministry I won't say because he hasn't given a final answer. So that would be 33 or 34.
Wow.
But he also has an employment center, and they actually train people and get people jobs there. There's a tech center. There's a Dr. King center there. And his whole life, his priesthood began when he was 17 years old, and he was riding his bicycle in Marquette Park.
Oh
And
my.
he saw this crowd of people. Many of them were his neighbors, and they were cursing at this black man that turned out to be Dr. King. And they
Wow.
were cursing him. Somebody threw a rock at him, and he didn't fall, but he kind of, it jolted him. And that image stayed with him because he told me, he said, what impressed me the most was that he didn't respond. He didn't respond to the vile people. He didn't say curse words. He didn't fight back. He peacefully went on, and that's why he is such a peaceful man. But when he was 17, he went home and he got every book he can get about Dr. King. He read them, read them all. Got pictures. He plastered the pictures on his bedroom wall. His parents thought he had lost his mind.
Oh,
But
I can
but
imagine.
but that's why he is what he is today, and who he is today is because of Dr. King. That's why he's a priest today.
So he saw the famous rock throw. Wow.
Yes, he saw that. He
That
absolutely
that's
saw that.
life changing. Isn't that amazing? An
It
act
is
of God
amazing.
inspired him. That is amazing. So,
Yes.
I did not really know his origins. I knew that something must have happened that made him decide to stand against racism, but I didn't know that incident of Dr. King being hit in the head with a rock in Marquette Park was the thing. And that would be, I guess, traumatizing for a person to see the meanness of the community, and then seeing the contrast with this calm man who did not retaliate and just stayed calm and kept on marching. That had to really have touched his heart and said, now this is the example that Jesus set, and this is someone actually manifesting what that looks like. So
Absolutely.
strength even in the
Absolutely.
midst of viciousness. But we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about some of the other things that you have been reporting on that we need to know, because many of the newsmakers, the people who are really out here making a positive difference, they get overshadowed by negative news. And these are voices that we need to know, people who are really making a change. We want to give them their pat on the back that they've deserved, and we want to give them the accolades because they are actually influencing the future that we're going to experience. So we'll
Right.
be right after this quick break. And as always, we want you all to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We're talking to Chinta Strausberg, phenomenal news reporter, and we're so grateful that she's a regular host on the Female Solution and a reporter on the On Air Daily News. We're so excited. We'll be right back after this break. So just stay with us. We're going to greet our global family watching us from all around the world.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. Join us live on the On Air Radio Network. Call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too. Right now, we are talking to the phenomenal Chinta Strausberg, news reporter, and I guess you almost could say activist journalist, because she's always on the case and has revealed so many things that used to be behind the scenes that are now right in front of our face, exposed some political shenanigans, and has even been a source of inspiration for a lot of young media professionals today. You know, you came along at a time when women weren't always out front and in the halls of the city hall and the state building and everything, getting the news. When did you actually start? You started your career fairly young, didn't you? Uh-oh, wait a minute. I think your sound went out. Oh, wait a minute. Are we muted? Oh, hold on a second. Let me make sure you're not muted. Unmute. Uh-oh. Your mic is muted for some reason. Let me I can figure out how to unmute you. Wait a minute. Why are you muted? Oh, dear. Oh, dear. Your mic is muted. I don't know why that happened. Let's see. Maybe you can. Oh, I don't know if you are able to hit mute.
Can you hear me?
I hear you now. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. So it all began when I was a proofreader copy editor for a downtown near Northside publishing company, and I was I had like 6 employees, and I would check their work, and it was very, very boring. And I had like 3 women who just gave me heck, and it wasn't it wasn't, I knew the job was not for me because
Mm.
it wasn't challenging. And I had the problematic three employees, three nice ones, three bad ones. So
Oh,
I saw this ad in the Hyde Park Herald, and it said that they were looking for a newscaster. I never was a newscaster. I had my bachelor's degree in communications, but so I went there, found the little studio on 71st and Jeffrey, and
oh,
I told them what I wanted, and I'm answering the ad. So they said, well, okay, read this. And they gave me copy. So I read it, and they said, you're on in 5 minutes.
oh,
I said,
wow.
what are you talking? I said, what are you talking about? I don't have a news story. You'll find one. And I did.
Oh,
So then after that, I did hourly newscasts after I got off work. And then they gave me a 5 minute health show. And I had great information about that. And then they gave me a weekly talk show called Talking Politics. And then that's where I met Harold Washington, Congressman Harold Washington,
okay.
and all of the politicians there, Republicans and Democrats. And I had them on my show. And then I started writing stories about the show for the South Shore scene, which no longer exists. And then that's what caught the eye of the Chicago Defender. And Joy Darrell was the managing editor. I just love her so much. And
Wow.
for a year, she tried to get me to come to work for the Defender. And I said no, because I really love radio. I really do. And I remember one time when I had to go to the bathroom and I had to be on air in about 2 minutes, the door would not open. And
Oh
and I put my copy on the counter and it was wet. So then finally they heard me banging and they opened the door and I rushed to the mic and I had to ad lib. That was bizarre.
no! Oh
That
no!
was really bizarre.
But that's
But that's how it all began. And I used to plaster um, my flyers all over South Shore and Hyde Park, letting them know who my guest was going to be and the topic. So it was great. It was a lot of fun. And
wow.
Harold Washington gave me so much time. He was just great. But that's how it all began. And then when I joined the Chicago Defender, for I started going down there. Joyce said, "Well, they haven't said that they would hire you yet." And she says, "Will you come on down and claim a seat?" So I did. I went every day. I would go down there and I sit by extension 25. That was
Mm.
my seat, and so I just claimed it. And after almost 6 months, they finally hired me. I used all my money to take care of myself because they hadn't put me on the payroll yet, because someone wanted to see how the Black community would react to someone with a name like Chinta Strausberg. And I was furious about that. But after
Oh,
almost 6 months, and I was down to my last $50 because I had been using my savings, and they hired me at $5,000 less, but they still hired me. And I was already a published reporter, still a cub reporter, but published. And I
mm.
started getting exclusives. And this one guy, I won't tell you his name, he worked there because you know him. He said, "How do you get who gave you that? Who gave you that?" I said, "I'm not telling you my sources."
Not
So
telling
that was enjoyable. But within the first 5.5 months, I had a source that wanted to who told me about how they were treating women at Dwight Prison, and how when they would uh, visit their children, they had handcuffs on. And I said, "That's terrible." So I went down on the bus. I did not tell them that I was a reporter, but I got in and the women knew I was coming. So I took some notes, and then it was time to go. I said, "Well, they're going to confiscate my notes." So I went in the bathroom and I took care of that. And I got out, and on the bus, I started laughing, and people were looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm saying, "I got my exclusive to myself."
you.
And they changed, and my Northwestern teacher, I forget his name. He was the best rewrite at the Sun Times. He
Mm.
followed my story. He picked up my story, and in Springfield passed a bill saying no more handcuffs with when the mothers are visiting with their babies, and that was my story. And then there was another time when I was talking to this African American Chicago Board of Election Commissioner Cornelius Davis, I think it was Reverend, and he just mentioned casually there were three white cops from the 11th Ward, and they knocked off 5,000 blacks in the third ward. And so he went to another subject. I said, whoa, 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 wait, what did you say? And so he repeated it. I did that story, front page. The Chicago Board of Election went bananas. They and the city council passed a law saying you cannot um, challenge someone if you don't live in the ward. And this was
Oh,
the time. This was the time when Mayor Washington was running.
yes. Oh,
So
wow.
they restored those 5,000 voters, and so those are the two stories that I am most proud of. And they passed a city law, and then the other one was a state law.
Wow. I mean, you have changed history. You have literally changed history because those little things like that, that would have made the difference between Mayor Harold Washington becoming mayor or not. All those little acts of uh, deception and really this
It should have been fraud, but there was no law saying that they couldn't do that. But I know that they were trying to get Daley elected, but do it the right way, not voter suppression, and that was voter suppression.
voter suppression. Wow.
Yes.
Well, now I'm understanding why you have enemies in high places. You
Oh,
have
I've got some. I've got some. Trust me. And it's because I tell the truth. And I know one time, as you know, my cousin Milton Leal III was the first African American to receive a Medal of Honor during the Vietnam War, October 25th, 1965. He spotted a live grenade, put it on his chest, allowed it to explode, saving the lives of 4 men.
I
And
remember seeing
uh,
that too. Wow.
yeah, about 18 years old from Inglewood, and he just and he already had a Purple Heart because he was a parachuter and he did something brave and they gave him a Purple Heart. But
Wow.
um, this President Trump has removed his name and other African Americans from the military file, saying that what he did was DEI, diversity,
It's so
equity, and inclusion, which had nothing to do with it. I mean, so I'm fighting that. I am really fighting that very, very hard. And then, but I have to give credit though to Mayor Richard J. Daley because he, in 1966, he named Olive Park after my cousin against the wishes of some whites who told him you can't do that because he's a Negro, and he did it anyway. But he had to confide in his best friend, who was Bishop Lewis Ford. You know, the
mm.
man who's named after Bishop Ford Expressway.
Ah.
Okay, so and he is the one who convinced him to do it. Same thing happened with Olive Harvey College. They did not want to name that college just Olive College. So once again, the mayor called on Bishop Ford, and he worked out a deal and found a white veteran who had a similar um, military background, but they still put Olive first. So it's Olive Harvey. Both of them were Medal of Honor recipients. So racism, the kid he was a religious little kid, and they call him little preacher man sometimes because he would be reading the Bible in the foxholes. Um, and then I wanted to get a street named by the where he lived in Inglewood, but the alderman, and I won't tell you the name, the alderman just won't return my phone call. So I'm just working on that.
All right. Well,
And then every year, Lawrence Pucci was a fashion designer. He was a friend of mine. He loved Olive Harvey, my cousin's history, and he worked hard to to try to get things going for him. So he would let me talk on Memorial Day at that Logan statue at 8th and Michigan. And when he died, this general took over, General Boiling. And one time he wouldn't let me speak. And I was ready to go up there to speak. He said, "You can't speak." I said, "Why? Why not?" And he said, "Well, someone from Mayor Rahm Emanuel's administration told me that you were a radical." I'm not a radical. I tell the truth. So when people say I'm a radical now, I'm going to say, yes, I am, because that's a compliment.
Yes, yes, it is. That's right. It's good to be a radical.
You have to be. I mean, you really have to be because there's so much. It's the lies that are going on, and people are believing the lies. It pains me in my heart for people to believe this president, because he couldn't tell the truth if it bit him in the face. And that's a sickness that he has had because his father taught him that, and this lawyer taught him to do that. Just lie, 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 and that's been documented. And he gets away with it. But what really bothers me is that his co-conspirators are going along with that. This man is not well. I don't care what his doctor says. He's not well. He's talking about blowing up the people in Iran, blowing up Iran. What kind of president does that, Naima? And he talks about African Americans and Africans, calling Africa and Haiti S-holes. Who says that?
Well, I think what this experience is for us is to learn what it looks like when we admire wealth so much that we don't even look at character and things like dignity and honor and respect, because we were so focused. So many people were so focused on, oh, he has money, oh, he's a businessman, all these things. And so this is what it looks like when you don't judge your leaders by their character and their dignity and their honor and their respect of other people. When you don't select leadership based on those qualities, this is what it looks like. So I look at this as a collective lesson for us as people who are responsible for electing leadership that reflect the highest values of humanity. It's our responsibility. And when we fail to do that, we suffer. So this is what I see it as. Now, if we didn't learn anything from this experience with this man, if we didn't learn anything, then we'll just do the same thing again and keep on suffering, because that's what happens in the lesson.
But look at how we're suffering. Gas is still too high. It's come down a little bit, and he's trying to take credit for that. Food is still very high. So we're not in a good space right now. And the cuts that he made with the big ugly bill, it is hurting more white people than brown and black people. And I don't think he realized that, or he doesn't really care, actually, because he made $2.2 billion illegally. Presidents are not supposed to get rich in office and use the office of the presidency. And his sons are part of the conspiracy. And then the $400 million, $billion, was it? Airplane?
Again, what are we learning as a constituency? Are we learning to just be quiet and allow ourselves to be abused, or are we learning to stand up on the feet that we have and challenge this and change this? What are we learning? Because all of these things are happening to teach us something so that we will change what we did that caused this situation to manifest. We got to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk more about some of the things that you've been alerting the public to, that for people who are paying attention, they will change something so that something changes. So we'll be right back after this next break, and we want you all to stick and stay. Don't stray away. We are talking to Chinta Strausberg on the On Air Daily News Hour, and we're sharing some news this hour. So we'll be right back. So just stay with us.
Have you seen all the solar farms popping up everywhere? You know, the big fields with the solar panels. There's one in our community. They produce electricity using the clean energy of the sun to send to the power grid to reduce our energy costs. Because not everybody can get solar panels put on their roof the way I have, but everybody can enroll for free to share the energy produced by the solar farms. That's why they were built. You know you're supposed to be getting a 10 to 20% savings on your bill for that, right? Illinois has a goal to transition by 2050 to 100% clean energy. So everybody needs to be connected. People in other communities are already getting their savings. So I'll be by to see you because they want to make sure you get your savings as well. It just takes a few minutes. I'm Naima Latif. Call me if you have any questions. 312-849-3456.
And we are back. You're watching the On Air Daily News Hour. And our guest today is the fabulous reporter, Chinta Strausberg, who you see her all over the place. I don't know how you do it. I mean, I've seen you from one side of town to the other, and in some kind of way, you might cover 4 or 5 things a day. And now, of course, you've got your Facebook page with showing all the photos and everything, and keeping us informed on social media. And we're just grateful to be able to add your insights to the on-air daily news. And somehow you managed to get some insights that a lot of reporters don't have. Does it come with relationships that you've built over time? What's the secret of getting sources for news?
Confidentiality.
Yes.
Not breaching confidentiality. I got cussed out by one man who was angry that I would not breach confidentiality, and I'm not going to do that. So that's the key, and covering stories rather than calling them, getting a couple of quotes and putting something together. They know the difference, and it shows in the article. I don't care how you fluff up the words. It makes a difference when you actually go out there. And a lot of times, because I don't like to go to sleep. Everybody knows that. So a lot of times I'm tired, but then when I get there, I wake up. I mean, I just come alive with a good story. But I wanted to take this moment just to invite everyone who's watching this, listening to this, to please come to Father Mike's party this Friday, 6 o'clock to 9 o'clock. It's at 1300 West 79th Street and in the Renaissance Park. It's a beautiful little park. And there's free food and a rainbow ice cream cone, which I can never get because I'm busy working. And the line is usually very long. And I think it's more grown-ups in that line than children. There's some good ice cream.
I can definitely imagine. Well, I think that, this kind of thing, it's always very, it took a lot of organizing, and always whenever you put something together that involves the community, it takes a lot. And I'm sure that he had a great team of people, probably, church members who were willing to put in their time and willing to.
He's got a great staff. He's got a great staff and a lot of volunteers. And see, you caught me off guard. I didn't bring my notes, but there's a volunteers day coming up. But I can't give you the date because you didn't tell me I was going to be doing this. But that's okay. That's okay. But I wanted to also let you know that we have a farm. We have a farm at the church. Right across the street from the church. We have chickens, and you can buy eggs there. And sometimes they give eggs away. And there's also a farm where they grow vegetables, and they on Wednesdays you can come and get free food, and sometimes give a little small donation. And then there is the Catholic Charity that is at 12. I think it's 1210 West 79th Street, and it used to be operated by whites. They abandoned it because it wasn't profitable. Have you ever heard of a Catholic charity making profit? You don't make profit off the poor. So Father Mike took
You're
it
not
over.
supposed
He did not know how he was going to fund that. He prayed and he took it over. And this is the second year, and we are feeding thousands and thousands of people. And not only food, you get your when you walk in, they give you your own grocery cart, and you pick out anything you want, and it's absolutely free. And then there are clothes there because I give food too when I can, and I just washed and rewashed some clothes that I'm going to bring down too. So if you have extra food, extra clothes, please, if you can, you don't want to go on the Catholic Charity Store. You can bring them to the Saint Sabina Rectory at 1210 West 78th Place.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So it's just I love social justice so much. I love my church so much, and I just and I love doing stories about them too. I like taking videos of, and the music is great. It is absolutely great. Michael Drayton is the minister of music there, and he and his band with Sam Williams with the Sela Youth Group. It just stirs your heart. It gives me so much more energy, even though sometimes when I come to church, I'm tired. The church gives me energy. Sometimes I come when I'm having an asthma attack.
Wow.
And yeah, and when I get there and Pastor starts preaching, it goes away every single time.
That's amazing. But
It is.
I have been to services at Saint Sabina. It's like a concert. I mean, a performance. And he's got the praise dancers. He's got the
Yeah.
band and the choirs and everything. I mean, this is like a major production going on. So I know that there's got to be some very dedicated people there because that takes work. That takes rehearsal. I mean, this is like a weekly concert and stage performance with the dancers and all of that. So I know people invest time in that church. They invest
Sure.
a lot of
But
energy.
also it's because of his vision. I once told him, I said, you need to be a Hollywood producer because we have the strobe lights now, and
Oh,
it's just beautiful.
wow, he really
It's like
does.
being in Hollywood.
But that's his gift. He just chose to use it within the church. But that's the gift that he has. A producer, like somebody with that would be.
But a lot of people know that when you were talking earlier about going outside of the church, years ago, the gangs were really, really bad in Auburn Gresham, and he has brokered more than a dozen gang truces there. And some of them he hires. They have X's on their back, and he makes them feel worthy. He gives them jobs. He buys them suits. Makes sure his families have food. He just loves them so much. And one time, remember when he turned the flag upside down because he said America was in trouble? Well, there were a bunch of I I can't say they were KKK members, but they were white supremacists, and they came in a pickup truck with rifles.
Wow.
And do you think that Father Mike stayed inside? No, he
Ooh,
came out, and I don't know what he said to them, but they left. They
wow.
left.
I would have loved to hear that conversation, whatever it was. I would have
Me
loved to
too.
hear that.
And remember the time when he and Reverend Jackson and others shut down the Dan Ryan?
Yes, I
I
remember
was I
that.
was there. I
For
was
that.
there.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I
And
remember.
the police got all in his face, and he didn't back down. And so, because they wanted them to go away, and he said, "We're not going anywhere." And then they said, "Well, we want you to walk in one lane only." And he said, "That ain't going to happen either."
I got a Reverend Jackson and Michael Pfleger, Reverend Michael Pfleger, Father Michael Pfleger story when they were at the uh, what Chuck's gun shop. I remember.
Yes,
And
yes. Many, many times they got arrested.
got
And
into
that day, when that happened, I called. Justice Pincham. I said, Justice, Justice Pincham, they've arrested Reverend Jackson and Father Pfleger. He started laughing. I said, why are you laughing? They arrested. He said, that's what they wanted him to do, darling. So I said, well,
Dr. King's tactic. If I get arrested, then it's going to make all the news, and then people will be outraged. So that was part of that tactic. You confront the evil, and then have them arrest you, and then everybody can see the racism live and in color.
Absolutely. But he told me, I said, well, will you please call them and let them know that you're watching them? He said, I'll do that for you. So he later told me, he said, he'll be out in about 15 minutes. I said, okay. Naive me, I didn't know.
But you play an essential role in this whole thing, because when these things happen, you need to have your media to tell people. That was the whole point. That's a major part of the strategy. When things happen, when somebody gets arrested, somebody gets hit in the head with a rock, whatever happens, it needs to be made public. And that's the job of the news media, which is why we need to have reporters who are conscious, who can tell people, and then people get outraged, and then things change because everybody sees what happened. They see the photos, they see the images, they hear the stories, they hear the quotes, and they know what happened. And that's what motivates people to protest, to demand, to fight for change. And that's how change happens. So you have been making history all these decades with all of these leaders by putting that word out, and all the news media, your radio shows, your newspaper articles, now your social media and everything else. That's what's making a change. So
well, and I remember one.
Probably already are. I'm sure you are. Google your name.
And I remember one time when Vince Clark, the late Vince Clark, his special assistant, called me from the back of a paddy wagon. He said, Chinta, you got to do something. I said, where are you? He said, Father Mike and I are in the back of a paddy wagon in Harvey, and the mayor made sure that the police drove the paddy wagon over every bad bump in Harvey. So I called the station, and I made I called the mayor's office, but they got through with that. But I'll never forget that.
Yeah,
that was me.
Because they know who can get the word out. This is where the power is. The power is in the media. So that's why we do what we do.
And they were fighting the paraphernalia, and the mayor didn't want him to do that. Can you imagine?
Oh my goodness, that is amazing.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take one last break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at some of the ways that our elected officials are either not all that they appear to be, and we need to know, or the ones that really are doing a good job, and we want to know that as well, so we can make sure we push for them to get back in office. So we'll be right back after this last break, and as always, we say stick and stay, don't stray away. We're talking to reporter, investigative reporter, Chinta Strausberg, talk show host and talk show producer and editor and reporter and TV host, and just all kinds of multimedia things that is getting the word out so that we can make a change. So we will be right back after this last break. So we want you all to just stay with us.
Leaders of nonprofits empowering worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
homeless. Because my little brother, in which we're doing this documentary for, Douglas Robinson, your death will not be in vain.
He was a heck of a great dude. And I love Doug. Doug loved me.
Just being around him, he had a good spirit. He was a healing person.
They are there.
Get SROs back.
When you give to the poor,
should not be forced out of their neighborhoods when it goes through a period of transformation.
Because there are too many people who are losing their homes to taxes because they can't pay a $1,000 tax bill.
And we are back. You're watching the On-Air Daily News Hour. I'm Naima Latif with our guest, Chinta Strausberg, who's been doing phenomenal work in informing the public for decades, I guess I can say. I think I started out around 1983 when I got out of college, and you were there with Reverend Jackson at Rainbow Push, and then I was seeing you all over the place and covering all the news, and it was fascinating because people were buying the Defender so they could read what you wrote because they knew that you were there at whatever happened. So I think you single-handedly boosted the sales for the Chicago Defender because, you know, people knew it. And that was the thing that I noticed too, is like when people, whatever they were planning, if they were planning a protest, they were, planning, a march, planning a meeting, call Chinta, see if you can get Chinta, so that was the thing, if you got Chinta there, oh, you're going to get coverage. Oh, now people know what we're doing. Oh, now we're legit. Oh, Chinta's here. Oh, we're legit now. She's here, so that's the power that you have had over the years. Your presence.
Well, a lot of people didn't like that. A lot of people did not like that. But John, they didn't understand that I was responsible only to John. And he only wanted me to do his politics. And we had one managing editor who wanted to do it her way. And she ultimately got fired because...
That's the offense that you're referring to in the Defender, right?
Yes. And it turned out that years before I went to the Defender, I was in college and I used to go up to Union Pier because my uncle had a home up there, and he said, "I want you to meet someone." I thought he was trying to play matchmaker like my uncles did. I have two uncles who tried to get me married, and one time, and then my aunt too. My aunt Mildred, she made a blind date for me because I wasn't dating; I was studying, and so she hooked me up with this scientist. And then what I did was I took I had to read Crime and Punishment. So I took my book, and while they were talking, I was reading my book, and his friend said, "Hey, dude, I don't think she likes you." And so I pretended like I didn't hear him. And that was the last time my Aunt Mildred did that because I embarrassed her. But anyway, when my Uncle George said, "I want you to meet someone," I panicked, and he said, "It's okay." So he took me to a few miles up, and it turned out to be John Sinstack, and I didn't know who he was. I didn't know what the Defender was. So I said, "Fine." I said, "Take me back home." And so he looked at me, and I when I started working for the Defender, I said, "Do you remember remember that little girl, that Uncle George? You know Uncle George? He said, yeah, we play golf together. I said,
Oh, wow.
that was me. And he went, oh my goodness, like that. Small world.
It was destiny.
Small world.
You were destined to be the star reporter at the Chicago Defender. That was just written in the stars.
But for years, I had to cover it on the bus because I couldn't afford a car. So I was taking buses all over the place. It was hilarious. And on Saturdays, when you saw me at Rainbow Push, I was not paid.
Then you had to rush out and do something else after that.
We were not paid to work Saturdays, but that I found out that's when we made news. So I was there. So when I got to work on Sunday, I had 5, 6, 7 stories all the time.
Come out of push, you get all 5 stories. You had all the activists are there, everything happening. So Saturday morning, that was the time. That was the place to be.
Right, but I also want to say that I'm concerned about this election coming up and people getting voter apathy because of the foolishness that this president is putting out every single day. You get tired of the lies and you say, "Oh, I'm just going to forget about it." That's what he wants you to do. So I'm hoping that everyone registers to vote and to bring, like Mayor Washington said, come by 10. Because we have to win. We have to take back the House, and we have to win the Senate, because right now he has a trifectorate, and we're the victims of that trifectorate.
Yes, and it's important for us to recognize this is like a chess game. If they can convince a large portion of the population to stay home because they're discouraged and disgusted, then they win. So we have to make better chess moves. We have to make sure we're registering our people to vote and get them to the polls. Get those people who don't have a way to get there. You know, the seniors who need a ride. You know, and people like people like Father Michael Pfleger. They're the kinds of people who organize those kinds of efforts. And I've noticed the clergy who really understand politics in a good way, they will do those things, organize people to get those seniors out there to the polling places, or help them make sure they can get the mail-in ballots, which some people are saying now that might be sabotaged. But then, get the young people who are skeptical and cynical and give them a vision of, look, one day you're going to be running for office. So we need to make sure you have a voice. Get the people elected who listen to you, who respect you, because one day you're going to be those people that are making the choices. And I love to see young people running. I love to see those who are deciding to enter politics. I mean, President Barack Obama, he started out as a community organizer. So when I see young people out trying to make a difference, if we can just steer them in the right direction, we can make some young leaders. But they need to know how the political process works. And they took civics out of the schools for a reason, because they don't want you really to understand how your makes a difference. So
absolutely. And I interviewed Barack Obama too. I'll never forget that. He is such a good person. But Father Mike does reach out to a good leader will reach out to young people, middle-aged people, and the elderly. That's a good leader. We have too many leaders who push seniors aside, and they're like intimidated by the young people. That's the wrong kind of management.
Right.
You have to include the young people, but you don't push away somebody else.
Yes, and he definitely works with youth. I've seen the basketball tournaments. I've seen his youth programs, and definitely Father Michael Pfleger has set an example of what clergy should do if they really want to make a difference. Prayer and action. So we want to remind people to come to the block party Friday, July 10th, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's after the sun has set and it's cooled off a bit, and you can enjoy some great times, great activities, and feel safe. So we definitely want to see you all there, and bring your children and meet some people.
It's a family affair.
It's a family affair. Yes, it is. It's a family affair. So we are grateful. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. And we appreciate your willingness to turn on a dime and give us your time and tell us all these wonderful things that we need to know about. And we appreciate you definitely lending your voice to the Female Solution and to the On Air Daily News, because your voice is making a difference.
Thank you, Naima.
And we thank you all for joining us on this edition of the On Air Daily News Hour. And come on back tomorrow morning for Mushem Suit. We want to connect you to a master force. So join us at 7 a.m. for Master Force with Mushem Suit. And we're excited to be able to bring you every day an exciting team of hosts that can always enlighten your mind and inspire you to greatness. So, and while you're on, tell us who your guest will be this Friday evening. We're on the case.
It's John Adams, and he's going to be talking about Bronzeville. A lot is going on in Bronzeville.
Ah, yes, yeah. You definitely want to see that, because this is what we do with our neighborhoods. We're revitalizing them and turning them to places where tourists want to come. And we're anticipating a lot of tourists coming to the South Side with the Obama Center. So I think that Bronzeville renovation is very timely. So we're looking.
And I also want to ask people to support Black businesses, please.
Yes,
please. And the Black newspapers. The Chicago Crusader is one of them. The Defender is online, but support your Black media, support your Black businesses.
Yes,
because they're part of us.
Absolutely. Get your news where you know it's the truth and not fake. And we thank you all so much, and we'll see you next week on the On Air Daily News Hour. And until that time, continue to shine your light.
Love you.
We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, Dhanyavad. Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, Ngiyabonga. Senegal, Jaref. Kenya, Asante. Israel, Toda. Pakistan, Shukriya. Afghanistan, Tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.